Hello, podcasters. I still haven't worked out how to introduce these episodes. It's really starting to get awkward. Welcome back to We Forgot What We Were Saying. Today we're going to be talking about naming babies.
Yeah.
Naming our spawn, our offspring, and like the process of it. We're going to talk about some cringy names. Look, I know for a fact I'm going to have a bit of a rant about some aspects of names and changing names and things like that. So I think we're just going to jump straight into it. Shall we start with talking about like the process of choosing names for babies?
Yeah, well, I've done that twice, so I can talk about it. And you're currently
I'm in the throes of it.
You're in the throes of it. So do you want to talk about things that you... Like, obviously, one thing that you need to factor in is you have to... Like, I keep taking my kid to the same hairdresser, and whenever she sees him... She tells the same story every time, which is, really? Sebastian is my favourite name. I wanted to name my son Sebastian, but my ex wouldn't let me. Oh. So I feel like it's a hard one because you can be really passionate about a certain name, but then you have to agree.
Yes, yeah. And I think sometimes the agreeing part can be quite difficult, can't it?
Yes.
So, look, our process, when we first started, I basically just sort of plucked names from places where I was finding them. Like TikTok would have, like basically pages of names. Mm-hmm. And I'd take a screenshot and I'd just rattle some off to Chris. And at this stage, we were talking about girls and boys' names. I also had, for girls, I kind of had some names from people in my past who were important to me, and they sort of stuck out. But once we found out that we were having a boy, it was much easier to narrow things down.
Yeah.
But we did actually use an app for a little while. I think it's called Baby Names. I believe we have since deleted the app, but it's basically Tinder for baby names. So you swipe right, you swipe left, you connect your accounts, and when you have a match, it comes up. I would say that thing was a big flop and didn't really help us at all. What really helped was in the evening, I would have a list of names and I would rattle them off, and if I liked it and Chris liked it, then it would go on the short list.
Yes.
And then we would go over the short list and we would, we'd come up with nicknames and potentially rude things that children may say about the name. Yep. We whittled it down even further. And then we would start comparing like the first name with the surname. And we were like, oh my God, that sounds really cringy. Or the initials are inappropriate. Things like that. So that has sort of whittled it down further. Now, we have a short list that we're quite happy with, and it hasn't changed for the last few months. Chris does a very sweet thing where he sort of like road tests the name. So he'll be talking about the baby or to the baby or whatever, and he will just pluck a random name from the list so we can sort of hear it in the wild, I suppose. But I have said that I can't pick a name until we meet baby.
I did the same thing. I'm not one to have like announced a baby with the name. Like I've seen people that like will have their baby announcement and they've fully named the baby.
Yeah.
Or they have the baby and they've got custom named blankets and whatnot. Like if that's you, that's totally fine. I felt like I needed to vibe the baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I had a short list, and it was a very short list. By the time we went into hospital each time, the short list was Darren had a name and I had a name, and whichever one felt more like the baby, we went with, which both times were my choices.
Excellent, as it should be.
Yeah, as it should be. I did have veto rights though. We were sort of, I was trying to give the perception that it was a 50-50 split, but at the same time, if I really wanted a name, I was like, I'm doing all the work here. I get to choose the name. But I think going into it, I found it hard because I had names that I liked for girls, but I only really had one or two that I liked for boys. And we did the same thing where we would just sort of be like, you know, walking down the street or something, and they'd be like, what do you think of blah? And I'd be like, no, that's my grandfather's name. Or no, that's like people might go, that's nice naming it after your grandfather. This grandfather I didn't particularly like, so I didn't actually want to name it.
Fair,
I think what it came down to for me was I wanted a name that I didn't have any emotional connection to, good or bad. So there were times where names would come to me, as in like I would think of a name or Darren would think of the name and it'd be raised, and I'm like, I actually love that name, but I used to date someone named that, and I don't want to name it after someone I dated. Like, you know, so it was always things like, oh, some idiot at school was named that and just reminds me of this. So I wanted sort of a clean slate name, if that made sense. I think I found it harder with my first, and then my second was funny. I actually went and saw a movie by myself, which I don't do often, but this was leading up to the birth of my second, and we were trying to teach my first that go to sleep without mummy being there. So once a month or something, I would, like leading up, like the few months leading up to the birth, I would go and try to be out of the house. So Darren and my mum would try to put the kid to sleep because he was all about mummy, mummy, mummy. So one time I went and saw a horror film by myself, and there was a name in the horror film that I was like, and I put on the list, and that ended up being Finny.
Oh, I love that.
Which is funny.
That's
so
cute.
I didn't name him after a character, but it was sort of brought to my attention from the movie and made it to the short list. And then he was a Finny. So the hindrance that Darren and I both had with both wanting out the name that we were after was I liked the nickname of Darren's one that he liked, whereas we liked the full one of Sebastian, but we didn't really like the nicknames of Sebastian. So we ended up going with Sebastian, but there was always like a problem, like, what's the nickname going to be? Or are we going to use the long name of that one if we like the nickname? Like, there was all these kind of like things. But our biggest issue, I think, was Darren and I are not married. Shock horror. Oh my God, gasp. And
No, you're living in sin.
I know. And it was more about like, do we hyphenate the surname? What do we do there? And that was, I think, a bit of a point of like, there was a ongoing debate about that.
Yeah. I think we should get into the surname discussion because I have feelings about this. I have big, powerful feelings. So Chris and I are engaged, and I have looked into the process of, like, you know, changing your name when you get married. It's insane. I'm not interested in it, to be perfectly honest. And I have actually told Chris that when we get married, if he wants me to change my name, he has to do all of the paperwork. Yeah. Because it is so involved. And I don't really want to have to take that on. Now, also, something else, like, I'm quite, I don't know, I'm a bit, like, connected to my surname. Like, you know, I'm a bit attached to it. And I guess the thing is, like, I have my dad's surname, and my dad has passed away. It is a bit of a rarer surname, like, with the spelling. And there is a really good chance that my surname may die out with the family, essentially. So I think the tradition of taking the dad's surname is antiquated and bullshit. And also, you know, I've seen, I suppose, a lot of, like, women give the surname of the dad to the child, and then the dad piss off and just not be in the kid's life. So, like, I have really big feelings around that. Now, I feel very secure in my relationship, and I am okay with Chris having the surname. You know, baby will have Chris's surname. But in saying that, I then basically said, this allows me to veto all of the other stuff. Like,
yes, that's
right. I get, like, you know, if it comes to baby being born and Chris is like, oh, I really like this surname, this first name, like, if I like another one, I get the final choice.
Yes, I 100%
just,
agree with you.
That's my rule. Like, and I think that is fair. Like, I'm doing the work. Let me have something, you know?
Yeah, I'm 100% on board with you. Like, if I was to get married, I would still keep my surname. And I've been pretty staunch on that since I was like a teenager.
Fair.
And I even remember the guy that I used to date in high school, his brother got married when we were dating, and we went to the wedding, and I remember we were driving with his parents in the car to the wedding, and there was his parents made some scoffing comment about, imagine if Kathy didn't take Jeff's surname. And I'm just thinking they're going, if I ever marry your son, I'm not taking your motherfucking surname. So, I was just remember thinking it just wasn't for me. And I think similar to you, I feel like it's my name and it's a connection to my heritage. Yes. And I don't really want to just take someone else's.
Throw that away.
You can do whatever you want to do. And there's going to be so many people listening that have taken their partner's surname. And
absolutely.
Chances are, Hayley, you will do the same. So we're not judging. Yeah. But I think it's also harder. Yeah, we're not. You do you. But for me, I was just like, that's my dad's background. I want to sort of keep it. But also, I just feel like that's my identity. That's me. But I think with what you brought up about the paperwork is so valid because... God. If you were getting married in your early 20s and you haven't done a lot of these things, it might be easier to change your name. But when you've got a house and a mortgage and various bank accounts and business this and da-da-da that, to change everything, holy fuck. That is some admin that I do not want to approach.
Oh, yeah. And it's not even once you've changed it, that's that. If you need to then have any sort of, legal documents or government-related documents, and you were known by a previous name,
you have to provide every time.
All of the evidence. So, if you are, applying for the pension in 40 years' time and you were once known by, your surname prior to being married, you have to provide all of that information. Yeah. So your old name doesn't actually go away.
Yeah. You just need to carry more paperwork with you.
It's still a burden. You know what I mean? You've got to provide all of that stuff. So it's a lot more complicated than people realize. And that's why I said to Chris, you want me to take your surname, you're going to do the work.
Yeah, I feel you.
Because I feel historically, just with the way things have gone, men sort of get the easier ride in that way. And I'm not shitting on it. I would still be proud to take Chris's name. And I love him, and that's not about that. It's about the sheer amount of work that is involved.
Too lazy.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. I'm late. Yes, fuck, man. Don't I have enough on my plate?
I agree with you. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Life is big enough as it is. You've got so much going on. We're about to have a baby.
And you have to do enough paperwork for the baby. Last thing you want to do is...
Correct.
Yeah,
and
I feel you.
We're running our own little businesses. We're working on the side. We've got homes to manage, kids to manage, families to manage. Our parents are getting older and they, need help with stuff. So it's a lot. It's a lot. And it's just adding more onto the plate that just feels a bit one-sided.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It falls on me to do it. And in saying that, Chris would 100% help me with it. If I said, I want to change my name, but you have to do all of the paperwork and I'll just give you the nitty-gritty details of what you need, he would do it for me. So, props where props are due. But it is still a huge, huge job.
Yeah. So... regardless of what's happening with your surname, baby's going to have Chris's surname.
Yes, yeah. We're just going to go with that.
Yeah, what else factors into you choosing a name? What else have you thought about?
we were deciding on middle name, right? And I'd like to touch on this. I don't have a middle name. on my dad's side of the family, they don't do middle names.
Yep.
Now, my mum wanted to give me a middle name, but my dad fought her on it, and mum was like, this is not worth the fucking, headache. And when I was growing up, I had a complex about not having a middle name.
Really?
Whereas now I don't. Yeah, because everyone had them.
Yep.
And I was like, why am I, like, I'm the odd one out. Whereas now, like, I don't give a shit. It doesn't bother me at all. In fact, it probably makes things a little bit easier.
It does. Look, I'm just going to say I have a middle name. I don't like my middle name because it's an old-fashioned name. It's like named after a relative. And so for me, I omit it from all paperwork unless it's like I have to put it in.
You must.
And I was wanting to avoid giving my kids a middle name. There was that was the talk. Like, if we're going to hyphenate the surname, I'm like, the name is going to be long enough as it is. No middle name if we're hyphenating.
Absolutely.
Then we decided not to hyphenate because it was like a clunky pairing. So we decided to just go with Darren's surname. I injected my side of the family into the middle name. But I was one, like, growing up, I hated my middle name. So I was like the opposite of you.
I am also injecting my heritage into the middle name.
Do it.
So I spent some time thinking about, do we want to hyphenate the surname? I knew Chris wasn't really into that, and I do really, it's his baby as well. So I want to respect his wishes. It would have been very inconvenient to hyphenate our surnames together because mine is just like, it's got an apostrophe in it. It's a pain in the ass. And mine has like odd spelling and stuff, and Chris's is also like, sometimes you have to kind of spell it out for people to like get what they're saying. So it would have been a nightmare for the child, and I don't want to do that.
That's what I was thinking as well with mine.
Yeah. So Chris actually said, like, do you want to give him your dad's name as a middle name? And I was like, look, I don't want to champion my dad. He was a good man. He was a good dad, but he also wasn't perfect. So let's not, Chris was trying to help me like connect with the naming thing because he knew that, there was some, not contention, but just, I guess it's like, I don't really know what the word is, but like you feel a sense of like heritage, to your name. And I suppose even though, I love Chris and I love Chris's family, like that surname is not my surname. So it feels a little bit disconnected from me. But it's all about like, coming to a compromise on this. So Chris was trying to help me have a connection with the name rather than it's just I get to veto the first name. Anyway, I suggested to him that we actually use my current surname sort of shortened as a middle name. And as it turns out that my surname is basically Chris's middle name spelt differently. And so it's very fitting.
Meant to be.
It honors my family name. It's a very appropriate name for a middle name for a boy. It has a little bit of a nod to Chris as well, which I'm sure is nice, but in the way that it's spelt, it's different. So that also gives the name a bit of a standout sort of, not standout, but it's a point of difference. So once I suggested that to Chris, he said yes immediately, and everyone else that we've told about it is like, oh yeah, that's great. We love that. So
that's a good, and when that falls into place and it feels right.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
Yeah, I like that.
So now I feel like I have that with the Bub's name, and Chris also has his like family heritage in there, and it just feels really special. So for me now, even the first name, I'm kind of like, whatever, it doesn't matter.
And it is funny though, because like I had a different thing, but like we did have a bit of a, not a headbutt, but like a awkward moment with middle name, So
Yes.
with us, I remember one time I think we were walking somewhere to the shops or something, and I remember my partner made a comment about, his mum is going to choose the Chinese name, the middle name of the kid. And I just remember almost like I just had this flush of what? And I understand that in his family, so his siblings and his nephews, they have this naming tradition, which I think is very good. It makes a lot of sense. So they're from a Chinese background and they name their kids an English name, but then their middle name is their Chinese name. So their family refer to them often as their Chinese name, but all at school, at work, everyone else calls them by their English name. So it makes things a lot easier for them. So that works. But I remember Darren was like, so yeah, mum's going to choose the Chinese name. And I was just like, the kid's going to have your surname and a Chinese name that your mum picked. Yeah. And I get fuck all. My heritage is completely wiped out. And I was like, I understand that's a family tradition, but it's omitting my family. And I'm not cool with that. So I ended up having, with both boys, I've named them a middle name that's one's close to my dad's side and one's close to my mum's side. So it's a nod to my family because I'm like, you've got the surname. You're welcome. Yes. So, and also with his immediate family anyway, his nephews, which are his sister's kids, they have a different surname. So I'm like, you're carrying on this family name with my boys. I'm putting in something with the middle name. So he was cool with that. His family ended up being cool with that. The boys have Chinese names that his mum assigned to them, but they're not official birth certificate names.
It's not on the birth certificate. Yeah. Which is that, I think that's fair. I mean, and I think this is the thing about naming babies. It's compromise. You have to understand what's important to each person in the relationship, and you have to come to a compromise on it that makes everyone sparkle at the end of the day. You know, and if everyone's happy, then that's all that matters. And your kid is going to hate you for their name no matter what.
They're going to hate that they've got a middle name. They're going to hate that they don't have a middle name. They're going to hate that their middle name is boring. They're going to hate that their middle name is spelt interesting. Kids are going to hate shit.
They're going to hate it. Yeah.
Can I read out some names? I'm just having a look at BuzzFeed. So,
please, let's do it.
So someone has a name. Their first name is Polly, which seems fine. Their middle name is Esther, and their surname is Cotton.
No! Why?
Shit. Someone met a baby named Door with the middle name Knob.
What are people doing?
I don't. Do people not think that these kids have to live a life?
I don't understand this. Look, I don't want to yuck someone else's yum around parenting, okay? I just think it's kind of not fair to do that to people, but I cannot understand this.
Yeah.
Why would you call your kid Door with the surname Knob?
Middle name Knob.
My
but
God.
Yeah, it's but even Door is anyway.
It's a bizarre name. I mean, we see a lot of bizarre names with celebrities and stuff these days as well. One of my favourite things that pops up occasionally is when I'm scrolling on Reddit, which I don't even know why I do this. Have you heard of the tragedy subreddit?
No.
Okay, so it's spelled TRADGEDEIH, and it is about names that are spelt weird. And people will either share names that
I'm just on there now.
Yeah, you having a look? Yeah.
Someone's name is Chernobyl.
I
Chernobyl.
don't. Why would you do it? I just don't understand. I don't know, man. Like, I guess maybe because I remember being a kid and kind of having like a little bit of a complex about my name and like the middle name thing, and mum telling me, you know, okay, this is why you don't have a middle name, but if you want one, we can make one up for you. And I chose the name Bambi because I loved the cartoon Bambi, and mum brings it up quite regularly and we have a little laugh about it and stuff, and you know, out of the mouth of babes kind of thing. But when you're an adult and you are giving your child an absolutely bizarre name, or like a name that sounds fine on the face of things, but when you then piece it together with a middle and surname, you're like, WTF are you thinking? Or, you know, the nickname is horrendous, or it's something that people could, like, kids will tear them to shreds in primary school and stuff. I just don't understand why you would want to actively do that to your kid.
There's a thing here in the local news. First birthday for Coriander. KORIAND''R.
Why?
Yeah. I don't think I've come across in my life. I'm just trying to think of coming across strange names. I have come across some people that have had the like duplicate names, like Lewis, Matt, stuff like that, which are a bit odd. I don't know why it gets into someone's head where like that's a good idea, that we've got the surname that's a first name, let's just name them the same thing. But I have come across some, like, and this is where you got to think about the whole name as well. I came across a Hazel Brown, which is like a colour, and then also someone in high school, I think they were going to change their name to their mum's maiden name, which was McLeod, and her name was Sky, so Sky McLeod. So some sort of cute ones like that, like they're not bad names, they're just sort of a bit funny. But I don't think I've come across too many that are really like horrible.
No, I haven't in real life, I have to say. I think mostly the ones that have really made me go, what the fuck, are things that I found on the internet.
Yes, yeah.
Which, that's not really super surprising. I've seen this thing on Reddit just now. I'm looking at it, and someone says, does this spelling of Kyle count as a tragedy? And it's CYIL.
That is not... I feel like I'm going to make a prediction here. There is going to be a wave of really weird sounding names. Not that like you said, that on the internet there is them already, but I have been reading a lot of sort of fantasy series, and there's a lot of weird spellings of names, to the point where books will have like pronunciation pages at the front, and I can imagine a lot of people in the next, say, like decade really naming kids after, like, I know that they have done that before, like you see people that have things like Harry Potter names and Lord of the Rings names, and like Daenerys apparently was quite a popular one.
Oh yes.
So I think that I haven't, like, look, my kid is at kinder and my other kid is going to kinder next year. I haven't come across any weird names, but what I have noticed is a lot of old sounding names are coming back. Like, I've met so many kids that are named Sydney, and I think of an old man.
Yeah. Well, one of the names that I liked for a girl, if we were having a girl, was Florence.
Yes.
Because I think it's beautiful, but it is a very old name.
It is a very old name, and we know a few kids named Florence. Yeah. I feel like Florence is coming back because of, like, Florence Welch.
Yes.
Florence
and
Welch.
I think also, like, even, you know, Florence and the Machines, I feel like it came back
that's
quite a while ago.
Florence.
Is that her?
Yeah.
Is that? Oh, okay. Yeah. I wasn't too sure. But yeah, like, what I've noticed is the really old names are starting to come back. We did have a couple on our name list, and I would even say that some of the ones I've got on there now would be considered a little bit like old school. But that's the cyclical nature
Yes.
of names, you know.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I was talking to my mum about it, and I feel like we're not seeing... Like, when I was in high school, there were so many Jessicas and Kirstys or Christys.
Samantha.
Yeah, those names are sort of gone now because those names are now associated with people in their, like, 30s, 40s, 50s.
And 40s, yes.
So now people aren't, unless they're naming their kid after their parent, they're not actually repeating those names. They will come back eventually.
Yes.
But, like, for example, I remember, like, my sister's name is Elizabeth, and Darren's sister's name is Elizabeth, and that was a name that was everywhere. I haven't come across one Elizabeth that is a kid these days.
No,
not one.
No, it's not a popular name. And that's because it was popular in our generation when we were being named. So, and I think that's what's really interesting, you know, like, I suppose names are extremely important in, like, our current generations and how we associate them with people who we love and hate and who wronged us and things like that. So, like, the flow of names is it's forever changing, which I think it's fascinating.
Yeah.
We were looking at, like, the list of, like, 100 most popular baby names in Australia.
Yep.
Recently, and, like, I feel like they've been popular for a really long time. I'm just going to bring the list up. So I've just got, like, you know, maybe the top 20 or whatever. So Oliver, Noah, Leo, Lucas, Elijah, Henry, Hudson, Thomas, William, and it goes on and on. It goes into some girls' names. They're all, you know, if you're anywhere where there's children, one of these names is being yelled out.
Yeah, like we've got we're around a lot of Noahs and Olivers, and like to the point where, like, Sebastian will be like, oh, and Oliver this, and I'm like, which one? Like,
which
you know,
one?
Like, it is, they're really, really popular.
Yeah. But, like, Oliver, that's kind of an old school name.
It is, but like also we know quite a few Theodores, because people like the nickname Teddy or Ted.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
so we know a lot of Teds, like, not a lot, but, like, a few. More than I've ever known in my whole entire life.
Yeah. That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I am interested that Leo is on there. I don't know if that is...
That's our goldfish's name.
Is it? I love that. I had... so my mum's dad was named Leonard, which you could...
Yep.
You know, Leon, you would shorten it as, or Leo. I even had an uncle named Leon. So it doesn't surprise me that name is up there because, again, they are like old names that are just sort of coming back into the foray because we're all sick of Elizabeths and, you know,
Jessicas and...
Jessicas and, yeah, exactly.
Kirstys.
Yeah, so I think it's really interesting, but I don't know, did you ever have anxiety about, like, what you were naming your kid? Were you like, God, they're going to hate me, or what if they hate it, or will they be picked on?
I think I picked names that I didn't think that would happen.
Yeah.
And, like, Sebastian, for example, is a name that I don't directly know anyone named Sebastian, but if I've ever come across anyone, they've always been, like, fairly attractive people that have got their shit together.
Yes.
And I'm like, I feel like, you know, names have a vibe, and I sort of feel like I don't think it's a bad vibe that he'll resent, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I do feel like one thing that Darren wanted to factor in when we were naming Finny, so his name's Finn, but we call him Finny, is that how it sounds when you're shouting it out in the park. So because I won't say the name that he wanted to say, because if we ever decide to have another kid, it's probably going to be like, and like I won't. But he was like, it sounded too clunky, sort of shouting it out. Whereas like Finn was so much easier to say, and I think sometimes you got to factor in things like that. But I I feel like I'm constantly, Sebastian, Sebastian, Sebastian. But otherwise, not really. I sort of was hesitant with a long name because I sort of wanted something that was a bit easier to say. But I call Sebastian BB because he's my big boy. He's a big brother. He's my beautiful boy. Yeah. He's like, and Darren used to call him Bastion a lot. So to me, he's just BB, or sometimes BB. I call him B. Yeah. So that's my nickname for him. So it's a bit like if he's in the good books, I'm like BB, da 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 da. Otherwise, it's like Sebastian, what are you doing?
yeah. Isn't it funny though, like how the nickname can completely deviate from the first name? Like my parents, they used to call me Pumpkin Pie, which is not anywhere near my name, Hayley. Like it's, like they are completely different. I have had people call me Hales, but it's never really like, I would actually say Chris's mum calls me Hales more than anyone has in my whole life, which is fine because it's kind of nice because it feels like that's her nickname for me.
Yeah, it's a bit personal. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think it's interesting how, the nicknames they come from a place that has nothing to do with their actual name.
Yeah,
which
it's
I think
actually
is sweet.
Funny with Finney because, so his name's Finn and we call him Finney, which is longer. But sometimes when we're just being silly or when we're pretending to be upset with him, we're like, Vincent, and we're like Phineas, Fingus, and we all like try to like lengthen it out to all these different names.
Gosh,
so we always have these weird sort of names, and people are like, "Is that his actual name?" We're like, "No,
no, we're just trying to be stern with him."
Yeah, we're like, And what was one? What did I call him? It was a really like we come up with really silly sounding ones that all have the Finn in it, and it's they're quite fun.
That's cute. All right, guys. So we are going to wrap that up there. We would love it if you would share any info that you are comfortable sharing about your process of naming your little bubs or even your future bubs if you don't have any, and any tragedy names that you've heard.
Yes.
Because we do love a good tragedy name laugh. And if you have been given a tragedy name, we want to know how you feel about it.
And what did you do? Did you change it? Did you keep it? Did you own it?
My sister hated her name so much that she legally changed it.
Yeah, I do remember that story.
Yeah. But she still goes by her original name, so, Oh my, it's an interesting story, but not for today. And also it's my sister's story, so I probably shouldn't share it. We do hope you enjoyed it, guys, and we will catch you again soon. If you have any particular topics you want us to touch on ASAP, let us know. Otherwise, we have a very long list of things that we want to chat about. So
ramble about.
Yeah, we do love a good ramble. All right, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.
See ya. Bye.